Have you ever noticed how sunlight can wash out your phone screen? Makes you wonder if it could ever impact a pro football game.
It does.
Really?
Happens more than you think. Like at AT&T Stadium.
Home of the Dallas Cowboys. What about it?
Well, it's got this giant wall of glass, faces southwest, and during those late afternoon games in the fall,
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
sunsets right through those windows.
Creating a massive glare right on the field.
Exactly. And you know those players need to see to make split-second decisions.
True. Have there been any times where it's really been a factor?
Oh, yeah, a few Cowboys games for sure. There was one where Dak Prescott threw an interception because of the sun.
No way.
Yeah, and there was another where both Jake Ferguson and CeeDee Lamb missed passes. Glare got him.
Speaking of CeeDee Lamb, I read that he said he couldn't see the ball and that curtains would help.
He's not wrong.
So have they done anything about it?
Well, Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, he's resisted putting up any curtains or shades.
Oh, not.
He says the sun affects both teams.
But don't the Cowboys play there every other week? Seems like it would affect them more.
You'd think so. Players and even some meteorologists have said that the glare is worse for the Cowboys. And the way the stadium is built doesn't help. Plus the sun's angle in the fall.
Makes the glare even worse, I bet.
Much worse.
So their stadium is a disadvantage.
In a way, yeah.
What about their Thanksgiving Day game against the Giants? Think the sun will be an issue?
Well, the forecast says sun and clouds. And get this, sunset is right smack in the middle of the second quarter.
Oh, wow. So that first half is going to be interesting.
You said it.
I'm surprised other teams haven't made a bigger deal about it. How do they even play in those conditions?
Well, they know it's a thing. Teams like the Eagles, they've said they adjust their game plan because of it.
Makes sense. What about the Cowboys? Do they do anything special?
It seems more about strategy. Avoiding turnovers that could be blamed on the sun. Not really about fixing it, though. Seems kind of backwards, right? They know it's a problem, but won't fix it.
Maybe Jerry thinks it's like a secret weapon or something. Part of the Cowboys' home field advantage.
I doubt it. Probably just doesn't want to admit his billion-dollar stadium has a flaw.
Can you imagine being a player and trying to catch a ball while the sun's blinding you?
Must be frustrating. I mean, you got to react in fractions of a second. Can't play if you can't see.
Think the players have ever said something to Jerry?
I'm sure they have. But I guess he's just convinced it's not a big enough deal to change the stadium.
So he'd rather risk losing games.
I guess it depends how you look at it. Maybe he thinks it's just another challenge for the team to deal with.
But is it fair to the other teams?
It's a good question. But as long as the NFL doesn't think it breaks the rules, no one can really do anything.
Besides wear sunglasses, I guess.
Not exactly practical for a game where you need to see everything.
Maybe they should just play all their games at night.
That solved the sun problem.
Yeah.
But it's not that simple. You got to think about TV contracts, scheduling, all that stuff.
So the Cowboys are stuck with the sun for now.
Pretty much. Unless Jerry changes his mind, or the NFL steps in.
What about the fans? Have they complained?
I bet some have, especially if they're sitting in the parts of the stadium that get hit with the glare.
Have you ever been to a game there?
Not yet.
I bet it's pretty crazy watching a game with the sun in your eyes.
Yeah, definitely adds something different to the experience.
It's wild that something as simple as sunlight can mess with a pro game in a fancy stadium like that.
Nature finds a way, huh?
So for the Thanksgiving game, do you think the Cowboys will figure out how to handle the sun? Or will the Giants use it to their advantage?
Tough to say. But you can bet the sun will be a factor.
Makes you wonder if other stadiums have weird things like this that we don't know about.
Probably. Building a stadium's complicated. You can't always predict what's going to happen.
Guess you can't control everything, even in a super organized sport like football.
You got that right. There's always going to be some surprises, especially from unexpected places.
This has been a real eye-opener. Never would have thought about this before.
Glad we could chat about it.
So we know the sun's a problem at AT&T Stadium, mostly for the Cowboys. Jerry won't fix it, and the players just got to deal with it. What does that mean for the future?
That's the million-dollar question. Will they have to change things up, or will they keep playing in the sun's shadow? Who knows?
It's like the sun is part of the Cowboys' story now, and not in a good way.
Definitely adds a twist to their home field advantage.
Shows that even in a sport like football, there are things you just can't control.
Nature always has the final say, even in our fancy stadiums.
We've talked about the players, Jerry, and the fans. Anyone else affected by this?
The TV networks might care.
Really? Why?
Think about it. If the glare's so bad that it messes up the broadcast, people might not watch. That means less money from commercials.
So the sun could actually hurt the NFL's bottom line.
It's possible, especially if it keeps happening and people get annoyed.
You mentioned the NFL might step in if the glare's against the rules. What would they even do? Make Jerry put up curtains? Who knows exactly what they do? But they could find the Cowboys, change game schedules, or even make them play somewhere else.
So they can actually stand up to Jerry, huh?
The NFL wants to make sure things are fair and that the games are good for the fans and TV. If the glare messes with that, they'll probably do something.
This whole thing is a lot more complicated than I thought.
You're telling me this sun glare thing has shown us how tricky things really are in the NFL.
Do you think this is going to become a huge problem for the NFL, like a big debate about how stadiums are built and player safety?
It could happen, especially if the glare keeps causing problems and people start complaining.
It's crazy to think that sunlight could actually change the NFL.
It just shows that even the smallest things can have a big impact.
We need like a whole new football dictionary now.
What do you mean?
Well, we've got blitz and touchdown, but now we got to add sun glare to the list.
It's definitely something people should pay more attention to. It's weird, right? If a ref makes a bad call, everyone freaks out.
Yeah.
But if the sun blinds a player, that's just part of the game.
It is interesting. We always focus on the players, coaches, refs, the people. But we forget about the environment, like the sun.
I think this will be a big topic in the media, especially after Thanksgiving.
Probably. The more people talk about it, the more the commentators and analysts will have to talk about it too.
Imagine them saying, watch out, the sun's setting. The Cowboys receivers might not be able to see the ball.
Could become a whole new part of the game. More strategy, more excitement.
This could change how teams get ready for games at AT&T Stadium, too.
For sure. Maybe they'll start practicing with the sun in their eyes or come up with special plays.
Maybe players will even ask for more money if they have to play with the sun in their eyes.
Sun glare clauses in their contracts.
Exactly. And what about the fans? You think they'll care?
Maybe. If they're paying a lot for tickets and the sun's ruining the game, they might not be happy.
This is getting complicated.
No kidding. This whole sun glare thing has really opened our eyes to how the NFL works.
So we talked about the players, the teams, the league, even the fans. What about the stadium itself? Could this force Jerry to change AT&T Stadium?
Hard to say. He's been pretty stubborn about it, but if enough people complain, he might have to do something.
Imagine if they lose a playoff game because of the sun.
People would be furious. Jerry would have a tough choice. Fix the stadium or deal with angry fans.
So the sun could actually change AT&T Stadium.
It's possible. Even the biggest, most famous places can be affected by nature.
We've covered a lot today. The science behind the glare, the money, the whole NFL. Who knew sunlight could be such a big deal?
It's been great talking about this with you.
I learned a lot.
Me too.
Anything else before we go?
Like they say, keep your eye on the ball, but for the Cowboys, maybe keep an eye on the sun too.
Good advice. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
Goodbye, and see you in this video.